From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. On the top story, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday morning will witness the signing of the Status of Visiting Forces Agreement or SOVFA between the Philippines and New Zealand. The agreement will be signed by New Zealand Defense Minister Judith Collins and her counterpart Philippine Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr. The SOVFA is expected to give way for a legal framework for military cooperation, implementation of military exercises, and other collaborative activities of both nations. Once the SOVFA has been signed, it will undergo a final ratification process in the Philippine Senate. It builds on two previous agreements that provide for practical defense cooperation, the Mutual Logistics Supporting Arrangement in 2024, and the Defense Cooperation Arrangement in 2012. In a news release on Monday, Collins said the agreement follows a commitment made by Prime Minister Christopher Luzon and President Marcos Jr. during Mr. Luzon's visit to Manila last year.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. said that commuters can take advantage of free transportation at the Metro Rail Transit 3 or MRT3 and Light Rail Transit Line 1 or LRT1 and LRT2 from April 30 to May 3 in commemoration of Labor Day. The chief executive stated that the measure intends to recognize Filipino workers and make commuting easy during the Labor Day. May 1 is a national holiday commemorating Labor Day, which recognizes workers' contributions to the country.
Nais ko sabihin sa lahat ng ating mga commuter ay inutos ko na para magbigay ng ating konting parangal sa ating mga magnagawa. Labor Day celebration ay maging libre ang sakay sa MRT3, LRT 1 and 2. Ito ay mula April 30 hanggang May 3. Ito ay bilang kaunting pagkilala sa sakripisyo at ang kontribusyon ng ating mga magnagawa, hindi lamang sa ating ekonomiya, kundi sa ating lipunan. Happy Labor Day!
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. urged the graduates of the Philippine National Police Academy or PNPA Sinaglawin Class of 2025 to be the guiding light the country needs to meet its citizens' daily needs. In his speech during the 46th commencement exercises of the PNPA at Camp General Mariano Castañeda in Silang, Cavite, President Marcos emphasized how the Police Academy graduates shape the system with their restraint, dignity, and service. The President made the remarks before the 206 members of Sinaglawin who are expected to join the Philippine National Police or PNP. PNPA graduates enter service as full-fledged lieutenants. President Marcos also reminded the graduating class to take into heart their oath, duty to uphold and defend the Constitution, and responsibility to the citizenry. The President advised the graduates to choose the honorable way without any reward and to stand up for what is right even if no one is looking. As public servants, the President reminded the graduates that there will be moments that will test their principles and convictions. President Marcos added that when those days come, they must remember who they are and their reasons for choosing the path. The Commander-in-Chief also thanked the families of the graduates during the occasion, as well as the Academy's mentors, trainers, and commanders for shaping them as dutiful officers and, more importantly, as citizens of conscience.
As public servants, we know that the path ahead is not always easy. There will be times when ideals and reality will seem to pull you in different directions. There will be moments that will test your principles and your convictions. But whenever those days come and doubts creep in, remember who you are and why you chose this path. Our country and our people continue to face trials and hardships, but as law officers, you are here to help overcome those challenges through service, honor, and justice. Always take to heart your oath to our republic, your duty to uphold and defend the Constitution, your responsibility to the citizens of our country. But the light that this country needs is everyday requirement of our citizens. Your acts make the system. You shape the system with your restraint, with your dignity and your service. Sa mundo natin ngayon, madalas pinagtatalunan ang katotohanan at madaling maligaw ang katapatan. Hinihiling ko sa inyo, piliin ang marangal kahit walang parangal at ang panindigan na tama kahit walang nakakakita. My dear officers, this country will never ask you to be perfect, but it will ask you to be present. Be there. Let our people feel your presence. Feel the presence of their law enforcers. Feel the presence of the law. To the families of the graduates, maraming salamat sa inyo. You have raised these men and women with love and with patience, and now you share them with our country. Hindi matatawaran ang sakripisyo ninyo. To the mentors, the trainers, and commanders of the Academy, thank you for shaping them as dutiful officers and, more importantly, as citizens of conscience.
With the theme Kapulisan na may malasakit at integridad sandigan ng kaayusan ng sambayanan, the Cadet Corps of the PNPA held a parade and review to honor President Marcos Jr. and the class. The class name, which comes from Sinag or Ray of Light and Lawin or Hawk, reflects the cadets' mission to be watchful, brave, and full of hope as future leaders in public safety. Among the graduates, Police Cadet Mark Joseph Vito from Oriental Mindoro stands out as a top graduate and is named the class valedictorian. He received the Presidential Kampilan Award, the Journalism Kampilan Award, and the Plaque of Merit for graduating number 1. The Sinaglawin class of 2025 makes history as the first batch to be fully commissioned as police lieutenants of the Philippine National Police or PNP, following the full implementation of Republic Act or RA number 11279. This law places the PNPA directly under the PNP and ends the practice of assigning graduates to the Bureau of Fire Protection or BFP and the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology or BJMP.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. expressed satisfaction at the results of Octa Research latest Tugon ng Masa survey, which revealed Filipinos' sustained faith and support for him. President Marcos, in a media interview on the sidelines of the graduation ceremony for the Philippine National Police Academy Sinaglawin class of 2025 in Silang, Cavite, said that it is encouraging to know that Filipinos value his administration's efforts to bring about progress in the country. He added that the survey results show that Filipinos are already experiencing significant changes under his leadership.
Well, it just validates that what we are doing, that people are now beginning to understand what we have been trying to do for the last 2.5, almost 3 years. So it continues to inspire me because it shows that we're making progress. That's always good to know. Minsan hindi mo na malaman kung nararamdaman ng tao yung inyong ginagawa at mabuti naman at nakikita ng taong bayan ano yung ginagawa natin at paano makakatulong ito sa pampaganda sa kanilang mga buhay.
According to the Octa survey, which was conducted from April 2 to 5, 60% of Filipinos trust Marcos and 59% are satisfied with his performance. President Marcos's trust and approval ratings fell by 5 and 4 percentage points respectively from November 2024, although the reduction is not substantial. Philippine Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro emphasized that despite political issues and criticism, Filipinos still recognize the administration's larger successes. Castro further said that the population continued to trust President Marcos despite attempts to cast doubt on his administration. Analysts remark that despite the constant political clamor and challenges to the administration, most Filipinos regard President Marcos as a steady and reliable leader.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines and Japan are now in the golden age of their relations as they mark the 10th year of their strengthened strategic partnership, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. said Tuesday. During his bilateral meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba at the Malacañang Palace in Manila, President Marcos said he is optimistic they would have productive discussions on economic cooperation and development, strong people-to-people ties, and defense and security relationships. The Philippines and Japan will also be marking the 70th anniversary of their diplomatic ties in 2026. The two countries formally established their diplomatic ties on July 23, 1956, and elevated their relations to a strengthened strategic partnership in June 2015 through a joint declaration between then President Benigno Aquino III and then Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. President Marcos expressed optimism that the two nations would discuss ways to further strengthen their relations.
It is my pleasure to see you in Manila after our very quick briefing in Laos last October on the sidelines of the ASEAN Summit. Your timely visit highlights the stability, harmony, mutual respect, and immense benefit that we bring to each other. Signs that we are indeed in the golden age of our relations, significant as we mark the 10th year of our strengthened strategic partnership. Next year, we will celebrate the milestone 70th year of the normalization of our diplomatic ties. The fruits of 7 decades of engagement attest to a deeply meaningful relationship where our two peoples feel the benefit of our diplomacy. But this is also where we lay the groundwork for the future, as we look at 7 decades of our shared history to lay the groundwork for a resonant and inspiring future where we engage across all sectors. I thus am looking forward to our talks today, spanning economic cooperation and development, strong people-to-people ties, and defense and security relationships. I hope our discussions today will further help us in our common pursuit of peace, security, and prosperity for all.
The meeting between President Marcos and Prime Minister Ishiba aims to deepen and improve economic and development cooperation, political and defense engagements, and people-to-people exchanges. This is the first official visit of Ishiba to the Philippines. President Marcos already met with Ishiba in Vientiane, Laos on the sidelines of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summits in October 2024.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru of Japan delivered their joint leader statement at the President's Hall in Malacañang Palace. President Marcos hopes that the Philippines and Japan will continue their robust diplomatic relations and the benefits of this stable and wise diplomacy. Aside from Japan being the Philippines' second largest economic partner, the chief executive also recognized Japan as the country's peace and development partner. The president is grateful for Japan's financial assistance, especially during disasters. He stressed the significant role that Japan plays in the Mindanao peace process.
It has been 7 decades now that generations of Filipinos and Japanese have felt the benefits of our stable and wise diplomacy. The Philippines accords great importance to its relations with Japan, as its reliable and steadfast partner in the region. Japan is our second largest economic partner. With the Philippines-Japan Economic Partnership Agreement that we have in place, we continue to look for ways to strengthen our business ties with Japan to broaden economic opportunities for Filipinos. Japan is one of the top bilateral partners that we have for trade, investment, and development cooperation. We appreciate Japan's development assistance, which we see as a gold standard for development cooperation. It is primarily because it supports our maritime domain awareness, infrastructure, food security, improved climate change adaptability, digital transformation, agriculture, space, cyber technology, health, energy, and many others. Our development cooperation has also played a significant role in the Mindanao peace process, which will uplift the lives of Filipinos and promotes economic competitiveness in Mindanao. On defense and security cooperation, it is of note that the Philippines is the first recipient of Japan's official security assistance. And even as a new initiative, barely 3 years old, the OSA has allowed our security agencies, especially the Department of National Defense, to achieve meaningful upgrades. Japan has been of great assistance in helping us achieve our aspiration for peace and friendship with all nations with strength and with integrity. Further, we have agreed to start negotiations on an acquisition and cross-servicing agreement. I recall that when I visited Japan in 2023, our two countries committed to building a future-facing relationship. With strategic focus, my discussions with Prime Minister Ishiba today have indeed laid the groundwork for that resonant and inspiring future across many, many sectors, so that our two peoples see meaningful outcomes in their everyday lives and in the lives of their families. I look forward to continuing our strengthened strategic partnership with Japan, a country that shares our ideals and aspirations of upholding democratic institutions and the rules-based international order. Thank you, Prime Minister Ishiba, and the members of your delegation for this fruitful and uplifting visit. Thank you very much.
The Japanese Prime Minister is in the country for a 2-day official visit aimed at deepening and expanding cooperation across economic development, political and defense engagements, as well as fostering people-to-people exchanges. Prior to the official visit, President Marcos Jr. and Prime Minister Ishiba met in Vientiane, Lao People's Democratic Republic on the sidelines of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN Summits, in October of 2024.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, Bulusan volcano erupted anew for 77 minutes on Tuesday evening from 7:43 to 9, but alert level 1 or low-level unrest is maintained, which means that there are increased chances of phreatic eruptions to recur. In a volcano bulletin posted shortly before midnight, the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, said the eruption plume, which was 70 meters high, was obscured by clouds but likely drifted to the southwest based on the location of communities affected by ashfall. PHIVOLCS Director Teresito Bacolcol said the volcano spewed ash for 6 minutes early Tuesday morning from 5:21 to 5:27 before the nighttime eruption. In Sorsogon, rumbling sounds from the eruption were reported in villages of Cogon and Bagsangan in the municipality of Irosin. Ashfall was reported in the villages of Cogon, Tidampo, Monbon, Bolos, Gulang-Gulang, Gabao, Bulawan, and Makawayan in the municipality of Irusin, Guruyan Town in the municipality of Huban, and the villages of Zone 7, Sumagongsong, Begin, Aquino, San Francisco, Kalumagon, Inararan, Kadandanan, Dolos, and Polot in the municipality of Bulan. For the past 24 hours, the volcano generated 66 volcanic earthquakes, including 6 volcanic tremors that lasted from 2 to 12 minutes. In an advisory released Wednesday midnight, the PHIVOLCS said entry into the 4-kilometer radius Permanent Danger Zone, or PDZ, must be strictly prohibited, and vigilance in the 2-kilometer Extended Danger Zone, or EDZ, on the southeast sector must be exercised due to the possible impacts of volcanic hazards such as pyroclastic density currents or the PDCs, ballistic projectiles, rockfall, avalanches, ashfall, and others. FIVOX advised those living within valleys and along rivers or stream channels, especially on the western sectors of the edifice, should be vigilant against sediment-laden stream flows and lahars in the event of heavy and prolonged rainfall should a phreatic eruption occur. FIVOX said aviation authorities should advise pilots to avoid flying close to the volcano summit as ash from any sudden phreatic eruption can be hazardous to aircraft.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Department of Migrant Workers or DMW warned overseas Filipino workers or OFWs and their families on the increasing number of balikbayan boxes abandoned by forwarders. In a Facebook post on Tuesday, the DMW advised OFWs to always check the status of their freight forwarders as the Bureau of Customs or BOC released a list of local and foreign forwarding companies linked to the mishandling and abandonment of the boxes containing gifts, supplies, or personal items sent to their families. The BOC listed the following foreign forwarders or consolidators with the most record of abandoned parcels: Kabayan Island Express Cargo, Allwin Cargo LLC, Manila Cargo, Mediacom Express Cargo, Pinoy Network Cargo, WLL, GM Multi-Services Cargo, Cell Air Cargo, Sky Freight, CMS General Services FCZ or FZC LLC, Tagpinas Marine Brokerage Company, Blue Bridge International Gen, Lawin International Logistics Co. L, and Rensworld Freight Logistics Corporation. For local forwarders or consolidators, the BOC listed the following: FBV, Forwarders and Logistics Incorporated, Cargo Flex Haulers Corporation, Rensworld Freight Logistics Corporation, CMG International Movers, Etmar International Logistics, KC Door-to-Door Delivery Services, FGTI Forwarding Services, MBS Cargo Move Company, TriStar Cargo Express International Philippines Incorporated, and J-Box Express Line. To protect themselves, the DMW urged OFWs sending balikbayan boxes to choose only trusted and well-reviewed freight forwarders and verify the company's legitimacy through the Department of Industry, Fair Trade Enforcement Bureau website. It urged senders of balikbayan boxes to keep records such as photos, receipts, and shipping documents, create a detailed inventory of the items being shipped, maintain constant communication with a freight forwarder, and track shipments using container number, bills of lading, and port of destination information. While some freight forwarders may offer lower fees, the DMW warned that these can be red flags for illegitimate operations.
Dateline Malacañang.
Finally, for Dateline Malacañang, a ranking National Security Council or NSC official denounced a militant group's remarks against the government's acquisition of the BrahMos cruise missile system, which aims to strengthen the Philippines' defense capabilities. According to NSC Assistant Director General Jonathan Malaya, Bayan Muna's remarks no longer protect Filipino interests but rather openly parrot and amplify the People's Republic of China's official propaganda. Malaya was alluding to Bayan Muna Executive Vice President Carlos Zarate's comments, which claimed that the country's acquisition of the Indian-made missile system will trigger a arms race and intensify regional conflict. Malaya also stated that Bayan Muna's language and rationale are identical. Malaya said that calling the country's missile acquisitions as warmongering and waste ignores ground realities. Malaya underlined that India's BrahMos missile procurement and the anticipated acquisition of the U.S. Typhoon system are both defensive, strategic, and calibrated reactions to current and emerging threats.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that is all for today's Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Bea Gaza-de Guzman.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.